During a recent conversation with the Metal Voice, Vinnie Appice looked back on joining Black Sabbath in 1980. Asked how he ended up replacing the original Sabbath drummer Bill Ward, Appice replied,
Well, the year was 1980, and I was actually right before that Sabbath thing. I got a call from Sharon Osbourne saying she told me that she's putting a band together with Ozzy, a new band, and they wanted me to fly to England and hang out with Ozzy and see how we get along and possibly be in a band. And I was pretty young back then and haven't really been out of the country except for Canada. I thought I'd ask my brother about Ozzy. So I asked Carmine, is Ozzy a little bit crazy, or I got to go all the way to England? I don't even know where England is, right? So back then. So Carmine said, yeah, he's pretty crazy, pretty nuts, and whatever, we talked. So I decided not to do it. So I actually turned that gig down. And then about 2 months later, I get a call from Sabbath saying they're in town, they're looking for a drummer. Bill left the tour. They heard about me and, would you like to come down and meet Tony Iommi at the hotel? This is in LA, of course. So I said, yeah. So next day I went to meet Tony, and he had an album under his arm that I did with a band called Axis, three-piece band. Yeah. And that was produced by Andy Johns, who did Zeppelin and a whole bunch of different stuff, some Stones. And it was a really good sound on it, really good drum sound. So Tony liked the album, and he said it was really good. And so we got along great, Tony and I, we just hit it off. So he invited me to come down the next day to rehearse with them. So the next day was when I actually met Ronnie, Tony, Geezer, and Jeff Nichols, who was the keyboardist.
Right.
And the first song we ever played was Neon Nights, because I heard it on the radio a couple of weeks before. I just happened to hear it while I'm driving in the car, and I thought, wow, that new singer for Sabbath sounds great. Dio, huh? Because I didn't really follow Dio, I knew Rainbow a little bit, but I knew he was a great singer, but I thought, wow, this really fits well together. That's great song. So they said, what do you want to play? I went, well, I don't know. How about Neon Nights? I know it's fast. There's not a lot of stops or starts in it. It's all the same. So that's the first song we played together. And then I don't know what we did after that. We probably tried another song. And I wasn't a big, huge Sabbath fan where I knew all those songs by heart. Obviously, I heard them, but some of the old stuff. And so there wasn't much to choose from. But then we started working on some stuff, and it really went well. So they asked me to join the band until Bill comes back. Okay. That was the premise. The problem was we only had, at that point, 4 days of rehearsal, and that was already one afternoon. So they were so happy that they went to the pub to have a drink, that they found a drummer. And I'm over there going, holy shit, I got to learn all these songs in this little bit of time, and play this big show. So I stayed back with Jeff Nichols, and he showed me the songs. I listened to the stuff. I started making charts as much as I could do, like cheat sheets. And then we rehearsed some more, and that was it. And then the next day we rehearsed, but not a whole lot. They went to the pub again. And then the third day they started getting a little nervous. So we started to get into it and rehearse. And the fourth day they were really nervous. I'm like, holy shit, I got to learn all this stuff, man. So every minute was spent learning those songs and making charts and going over the charts, making sure they were right. And then the first gig was Hawaii, Aloha Stadium, and it was 30,000 people. So I wrote the book out with the charts, boom, boom, boom. And halfway through the set, it starts raining, and the book got all wet, the wind blowing and stuff, and then the ink ran and the pages crumbled. And halfway through, I can't even look at this thing. It's stuck together. It's like Ronnie announced the next song. I go, wait a minute, pages are stuck. Let me open this up. Couldn't do it, so we just had to wing it. So they were tight, they were tight, but I was up there winging it, you know. And then, of course, Hawaii, we got there and there was a day off. And I think a day or two off, that gave me a little bit more time to listen to stuff. But everybody's on the beach, hanging out, sipping drinks. And I'm like
Working.
at a table somewhere going with a Walkman, Sony Walkman, trying to go over these songs as much as I could. But the gig went well, you know. From what Tony said, he was very nervous.
Vinnie was also asked about the trepidation on Tony's part when he saw the size of his kit. He wasn't sure it was going to survive or be loud enough. Is that true?
Well, what happened with that was they asked me to come down and play with them in LA. And at that time I was with my band Axis, and I had a 5-piece kit, right? Or 6-piece if you count the snare. 2 toms up front, 2 on the side, and they were concert toms. They didn't have heads on the bottom, which made the kit look smaller. So there was 4 tom-toms, snare drum, 3 cymbals. That was it. You know, I was fine with that. And Tony, first thing he asked when I brought the kit down, he goes, "Do you play double bass? Could add a bass drum?" I went, "Oh man, no, I don't play double bass." Forget about double bass when I'm trying to learn the songs with one bass. So Tony started it, and I said, "Don't worry, I'll call Ludwig Drums and get some more drums." So I ordered a floor, another rack tom, a floor over here, then these aerial drums that were above my shoulders. Boom, boom.
That was
so I got
different,
2 of those that were big, so it made the kit bigger. And then every 6 months, the kit got bigger and bigger, and kept ordering more until I had all this stuff. Till the last tour in 2009, I had 21 pieces, 21 drums, most of it up in the air, hitting them backwards, forward. Tony's fault that the kit got that big.
What was the transition like between Ozzy to Dio? Just like any new singer, they're sort of pushed back by the fans. Do you remember seeing a lot of that?
Yeah.
Where's Ozzy? You know, Ozzy, you know, obviously people love Ronnie, but the Heaven and Hell album came out and it was still charting and still selling. So it wasn't the giant album yet, you know, but establishing Ronnie in the band. But, you know, there was only a couple of people doing that shit. You know, where's Ozzy? Who did Iron Man and Paranoid and all that stuff. So, but Ronnie hated that, man. He hated going on stage and seeing these signs, you know.
Did you ever meet Bill Ward on that tour afterwards?
I met Bill Ward. Yeah, it was either during a break of that tour or something at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Hollywood, the, you know, famous place. And Bill might have had a bunch of drinks back then, and I sat down just to be nice, and I was a kid, you know, 22 years old. "Hey, Bill, I'm Vinnie." And he was just a bit out of control. It was pretty funny, you know. I wasn't ready for that. You know, he's been drinking that night, and I was like, "Oh God, I don't want to get into anything with Bill," you know. And that's the only time I met him. Then I met him years later when he was stopped drinking, and I see him every now and then. He's the sweetest guy in the world, and I love Bill, and he was a big influence on the way I played too. His stuff, yeah, it's great stuff. Creative, and it was just that one time when he was still drinking. It was a little bit, a little over the top.
Thank you for tuning in, and please hit that like button, it's appreciated. Make sure that you subscribe for more rock-related content.